But before I do that, I wanted to explain. I wanted to explain this. Why do I have a dirty bag with the city of Alamogordo, New Mexico on it? Well, I bet some of you already know. And that is, they recently began eBaying the last round of Atari carts that were dug up from the Alamogordo City landfill in 2014. Now, this is dating back to the internet rumor, which was actually fact in the 80s, which is that Atari buried something like 100,000 various games and other junk in the city of Alamogordo landfill. Now, the first round, everything sold for like $1,000 and was way beyond my capability to do anything about. I couldn't buy it. This most recent round was also very high priced, but the difference is I didn't get outbid. I had put in an initial bid on 2 of the entry. I was the first bidder under the assumption of, well, let's just put a bid in and see what happens. Yeah, surely I'm going to get outbid and it's going to go for 1,000 and what have you. Don't do that, people. Don't place bids on eBay for things you don't actually intend to have the money to buy just because you want to watch it and see what it goes, even if you're an Atari nerd. Because guess what? You may wake up a day later to suddenly be on the hook for like $600 worth of Atari carts from a trash dump. And that's what happened here. So this week I got the box from Joe Lewandowski out of Alamogordo. He's the public works person who did it. The reason it's still in a box is they stink a little bit. And so I got it kind of sitting with some baking soda to try to de-stinkify it a bit. But this is it. This is the Missile Command box that I picked up from this eBay listing. But that's not all. I also got a Centipede cart. This one's got that interesting kind of plastic, I don't know if I can get this on camera, it's kind of all crumpled, but you can see how this was it has a little hang tab wrapper on it from the era too. So these are the 2 carts. They don't actually smell that bad. Like, you can't smell them here so much. Like, when I took them out of the bag, you could smell it a little bit. If you go, you can smell the trash, but it's not like it's going to fill up a room or anything. Eventually, I'm going to probably put a display on these things. But they did come with some officiating paperwork, and that's what this bag is about. I haven't taken the tag out yet because it's just part of a process, but each one has an actual City of Alamogordo property tag to authenticate it. And then each one came with a packet of information and authentication on it, along with a little promo packet, little promo from the City of Alamogordo 2022 era. But one of the things I like in particular is it also came with a bunch of news articles. Now, these are the articles that actually came out in 1983 and just plain said this happened. There was a thing that happened. But because it was 1983 and the newspaper articles had not really been digitized, when the 90s rolled around and did Atari actually bury carts in a landfill, became rumor, became kind of legend, and it was like, is it true? Did they? Well, all the proof has always been available. It just really took someone to go down to really the microfiche slides and whatever to validate all this sort of work and then do the work. It goes to show that, if you actually have someone do the work to authenticate this stuff, you may get your answer. But this is from the Alamogordo Daily News, 1983, Dump Here Utilized. And I'm not going to read the article, but it basically just says, the new pit at the Alamogordo City landfill has become the apparent final resting place for a warehouse of Atari games from Texas. Essentially what happened, and you can read more about it later on here, they have kind of stories about it, but it was a thing, because the city afterwards to Atari had said, we don't want your stuff. This is September 1983, the Alamogordo City News. The idea is they had built a landfill with the idea of maybe making some bank and what have you, and they didn't really realize what they had set up. So when all of a sudden it says, the ordinance has been proposed in the wake of the dumping of 11 semi-trailer truckloads of Atari computers, cartridges, and assorted parts from an El Paso warehouse in the dump since last Thursday. Apparently, BFI had told the city after being pressed on the issue It was expecting 3 truckloads a week. However, no one is exactly sure how much trash will be expected. So the city built it. They didn't really think it was going to be used for that purpose. It was used for that purpose, and then afterwards they were like, wait, what? And so it kind of became a big city issue. So all the evidence has been here this whole time. They've got a picture from the 1983 newspaper of the trucks doing the dumping. So, I mean, hey, there's not internet rumor, what have you. And then they've got another one from the El Paso, Texas Times, talking a little bit about El Paso's kind of take on the situation. And then finally it comes, well, not finally actually, but it does come with a certificate of authenticity for the game from the city of Alamogordo, New Mexico. And then finally it's got a really nice written story by Joe Lewandowski. It might be Lewandowski. I'm not sure how to exactly pronounce the name, but it's spelled Lewand. So Lewandowski. Atari Tomb at the old Alamogordo landfill. And he had done a really nice write-up here that comes along with these carts with some pictures of the process to discover the rumor was in fact true. And then the unearthing of the carts, which I think most people know these days because of the movie Once Upon... wait, so what is it? Movie is skipping my brain. Is it Once Upon Atari? Is that the name of the movie? I think so. Yeah, Once Upon Atari. And so then, it's a little bit about that. So that's ultimately what I paid for. It's neat. I shouldn't have done it. I didn't have the money. Don't put in fake bids on eBay just because you're sure that they're going to be outbid. That's the lesson here. However, as everyone knows, I'm a monster Atari nerd. So despite the fact that I couldn't afford it, I'm actually kind of glad I've got these. They're going to be a really neat bit of my collection. Stupid? Yes. Can I ever criticize anyone ever again for spending too much money on something dumb? No. But there we are. And I wanted to kind of show that off to hopefully an appreciative audience here, because I think you might be the only